Hello Coaster Cult, today we're going to be reviewing Candymonium at Hersheypark. Candymonium is basically known as a B&M Hypercoaster, which is a roller coaster that goes over 200 feet. Besides Candymonium, I've only been on 3 B&M Hyper roller coasters, which are Apollo's Chariot, Nitro, and Goliath. But in my opinion, Candymonium is certainly the best. I think Candymonium just has much better floater airtime, and it's a more presentable ride than all of the other B&M Hypers. One problem that I have with Candymonium is not even the ride, but it's the queue. I just think Candymonium's queue is just not well presented with all the bugs and spiders all around. Something else is the lights were even flickering too when I went. I just think Hersheypark could just take better care of this queue, in my opinion. When you first go into the station of Candymonium, you will notice there are 7 rows. When I went, we only chose the back, but when I come back to this park, I will choose different rows next time. The restraints for Candymonium are known as clamshell restraints. These lap bars are my favorite lap bars, mostly because it feels very snug on your lap, and even if you get stapled, they will still feel very comfortable. When Candymonium exits the station, it starts going up a fairly fast lift hill. This lift hill is faster than normal, so that's why I like it a lot. Once Candymonium reaches its max height of 210 feet, it drops you down a drop of 216 feet and a max speed of 76 miles an hour. Candymonium's drop is just very floaty and it gives you that nice dropping sensation. The next element after that is the 5-second floater hill. When you first go into the 5-second floater hill, it just feels like your body's just getting lifted out lightly, but then a couple seconds, your body's just trying to get out of those restraints. The 5-second floater hill is certainly one of the best and most sustained elements I've ever experienced on a roller coaster. The next element that Candymonium goes into is a hammerhead turn. Before you even enter the turn, you get this little near miss with the pole, and it always had me ducking every time I went on this ride. But the turn itself didn't really do much for me, but it's still a fine element though. The next element that Candymonium goes into is another floater hill. This floater hill is trim, but it doesn't really trim you too bad. And this element just gives you some very good floater airtime too. The next element on Candymonium is a speed hill. This moment of the ride just gives you some very good flowjector airtime, and is one of my favorite moments on the ride. The next element that Candymonium goes into is a helix. This helix doesn't really do much for me in positive G's, but it does give some very good head choppers. After the helix, Candymonium goes into this weird outer bank element. This element gives you some very good floater airtime if you're sitting in the back. But I heard if you're sitting in the front though, it doesn't really give as much floater airtime though. After Candymonium finishes the outer bank moment, it goes into this airtime hill. This airtime hill is pretty trim, but it still gives some light floater airtime. The next element on Candymonium is Little Doll. All you're doing is just twisting around the Kisses fountain. This element doesn't really do much for me, but it's cool if you're looking off-ride though. The next elements on Candymonium are 2 little pops of airtime into the brake run. These moments just give you some light floater airtime as you're hitting the brakes. But Candymonium is not just finished yet, it just takes a final swoop turn into the final brake runs. Basically the same thing that Skyrush does. My final score for Candymonium will be a 9.5 out of 10. To make this ride a 10 out of 10, I think they could have made the helix more intense and the turnaround around the Kisses fountain more intense too. But besides that, this ride is almost a perfect ride to me. Well, that ends off my review on Candymonium. Thank you for taking time out your day for watching my video. See you next time.